guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Injury Time. The smile says it all. India's into another edition of AFC Asian Cup. This time around, back-to-back editions. 2019 India participated, and next year in 2023, India will once again be a part of the 2014 competition, which we are still to find out where will it be held. But that is immaterial as of now. India is through and we are here to celebrate. And the Indian men's team celebrated in a very, very fine manner with a 4-0 win over Hong Kong to top Group D to make it into the Asian Cup. We'll be talking about all of that. Stimac's time as the head coach, everything that he's done with the team. Looking forward, what next for this team? How can they prepare for the big competition that is awaiting them in 2023? And everything that entails the men's team, the national team of India. To do that with me, I have a big panel today. Okay, like unlike in the past two episodes we had two guys talking to us about the match, everything about Indian football. This time around, it's a little big. It's a very vast panel. Kyuki, the occasion is big. It's huge. We have made it to the Asian Cup once again. So let me waste no more time of yours and get all the guys who's joining me today on board. First up from Bangalore, a guy who's not on night shift today is Sandeep. Sandeep, welcome back. We missed you in the last two episodes.
Yeah, I was on night shift working, so couldn't make it. But happy to be back. Happy to be back on this occasion as well.
Oh yes, we're happy to have you back talking Indian football. Also joining us once again is Abresh Mina from Delhi. Abhi, welcome back. Abby, audio problem with Abby. So while
hello,
oh, no.
sorry, I was on mute.
Abby ने अपने आप को mute कर दिया था. Cool. Welcome back. Also joining us, your fellow Delhiite is Orko. Orko, welcome back to Injury Time. We missed you in the last two episodes. How are you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm the lucky mascot. 4-0.
Oh no, but you're not the fourth person on the screen today. There's a fifth one because we can't do without him, who's been with us over the past two episodes talking about the Asian qualifiers. Floyd Pinto, welcome back to Injury Time. It's a pleasure to have you once again.
Thank you. So good to have the others as well. Looking forward to good talk.
The guys who you have usually seen and heard, now you can talk to them and have a awesome conversation, right, Floyd?
Yeah.
So on that note, Floyd, let me start with you. A 4-0 win to wrap up what seemed like a pretty comfortable qualifying campaign for India. The third round, I must say, of the Asian Cup. What did you make of India's performance against Hong Kong? Remember, we spoke about Hong Kong and how entertaining and exciting they were as a team in this Group D of the Asian Cup qualifiers. But against India seemed like a different team altogether, right?
Yeah, the way we started and the way the first half was going, I thought at one point of time I'm going to call ourselves Set Piece United for this tournament.
I think one among us just did that.
but I have to give credit to Hong Kong though. The way they were playing, the movement of the ball, the combination play was really good to watch. And I think two things, they missed a couple of good chances early on, and second, I think the rain helped us a little bit to even out the game and see us through to the first half. But all being said, like we've said before, as long as you get across that line, 3 points, Asia Cup Asia Cup qualification done, be it through set pieces, and then later on when the game opened up, like we said, we have runners, we have players who can exploit the space behind, and that's what we did. The quality of Brandon showed when he came on, and it also showed Igor Stimac kind of getting that sense of his players, the way he used Brandon, the way he used Sahal. Liston was a bit off today, but I think he's getting a good sense of the squad that he has, and everybody now is starting to understand their role in the game. If they don't start, they know exactly what they need to do when they come on. If they play the 90 minutes, they know exactly what they are. So it's slowly but surely, we are not the finished article yet, but we are shaping up to be a force to reckon with, maybe, or someone that could be a really a pain for the big sides in Asia Cup.
Well, a pain for the big sides is what Floyd calls it, but that is something that you expect this team to become going down the line if things are to pan out well for the national team, right? Orko, you were someone who midway through like so far in this campaign have been talking about how India scores a lot from the set piece, and you're someone who coined that term set piece FC for the national team. But then
Hmm.
Manvi scores from an open play, and then Pandita finishes off super sub like Papa Perez says rightfully in the comment section. What did you make of India's not just the match against Hong Kong, but these three matches? Pivotal matches, matches where we all knew that India had to win come what may, and they did it in style, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of positives to take away from the game. They're very what do you say? They're very smart at what they did. I don't think they tried to take Hong Kong head on. Right? They didn't try to get into a head on tussle with Hong Kong. I think they were very good. The way the campaign spanned out, I think, is pretty much the best I think we could have hoped for. It's three wins. It's a bit of momentum going into whatever lies ahead. Obviously the focus will be on whether we'll get into pot three,
Right.
or will we qualify pot four, and that will I think change a lot of combinations and permutations at the Asian Cup. But I think one of my key takeaways is Ashik Kurnian and how good he looks, and I think that is my chief point from this whole campaign. I think it's been a joy to watch him at the Asian Cup, and where he ran at defenses. I think uh, I think it's great. Him and Akash Mishra, and as Coach FP was mentioning, he's just getting his combinations. He's just looking at what can be done. He has more to come from the bench. We didn't have Apuya today. We didn't have Brandon today. We didn't have Thapa today. So I mean, lot more to come. Seriously, and this is as good as it gets for the Indian football fan.
Absolutely. Like just picking on from something that Orve just mentioned, Ashik Kurunian. Sandeep, let me ask you this. We saw this phase, this of Ashik Kurunian in 2019 as well when he was introduced during that Asian Cup campaign by Constantine, right? But then ISL came about. He was signed by Bengaluru FC, where the coaches there played him in a much more defensive role, and the boy just looked lost. But now Stimac again has allowed him that freedom to go ahead, play in that attacking role. How important it is to ensure that this boy gets that sort of an opportunity in the domestic circuit as well to develop as a player and be an asset to the national team.
Look, I think Stimac is getting the credit and rightfully so, but some credit of it also has to go to Marco Pezzoli, who played him up front in the second half of last season because once he realized what this guy can offer, whatever you say about Carles, when he did play him behind as a left back, the idea was for him to be an attacking left back because he has that speed and the power. He called him a physical monster. You can't push him off, he'll sort of like bulldoze through people and all. And which Constantine used in an attacking sense. Yes,
True.
you can look at it and say that BFC maybe didn't utilize him to the best, but you have Sunil Chetri as a left winger there, probably a foreign striker, Udanta, and when Ashik did get a chance, he didn't really do that well in the early parts also. So some criticism should go to him as well. But yeah, now I think going forward, he has to play in this role. If you want him to play like this for the national team, he has to play up front, whether it's as a striker or a winger, whatever it may be. I think Sunil prefers to play as a number 10. That's what he told me in the last podcast we did. So he can play out wide also if need be. And he is a special player, man. Like he, you think of him as this direct running guy, but he's smart. Like if you look at the pass that he
True.
picked for Sahel, first for him to dig the ball out and give that half a yard and then pass. So he has his head up. He's able to see the pass, and sometimes he's able to deliver that pass also, which is quite impressive. And yeah, I
Absolutely.
think we just need to keep going like this. I think Stimac has his 11, 14, first 11, first
Uh-huh.
14.
Uh-huh.
Now you just sort of need to ensure that these guys keep playing, they don't get injured, and they get
True.
more and more chances. I don't know what the plan is, whether where we'll play in September or whatever it may be. Hope they play because it's very
Well, that
important.
goes without saying. Need to play more matches. I'll just take that to Abreshmina. Abreshmina, it's not just Ashik who's really shown in this a few fixtures, right? You had the likes of Colasso. A lot was expected. He's delivered. Brandon has always been up there. He's delivered. And then Akash has done really well. Anwar Ali, the two matches that he played, he's been awesome. And today, to cap it off with a goal. Guys that have got an opportunity with the national team, they have delivered this time round.
Yeah, I do agree. Actually, what for me, what has really stood out and why I think these players have been able to, go out there and do what they can, what they can bring to the table actually, is that their roles have been clear. This time around, I feel where Stimac has actually done well and been smart is not, go for how he wants to look like or what people want the team to look like, but what the team can actually deliver,
True.
right? Like, what are the strengths of the players, where you can use them, how you can use them, and where they will be able to shine the most and do their best. I think he's kind of understood that bit, and he has, fashioned the team accordingly, which has actually helped all the players kind of like, get their heads up and be able to deliver how, we genuinely expected them to deliver, because the play we kind of know the strengths of these players, right? I mean, we've seen them play, so we know their strengths. So for them to show that, it was very important for the system around them also to be very robust, and I think that is kind of starting to, show. I think that is where, what was my key takeaway also.
Well, Floyd, a lot of plaudits for the team, and rightfully so, because they have delivered when it mattered the most. But we need to scrutinize a bit here. And yes, we have looked really good in attack. We have looked really good in build-up plays and things like that. But defense still looks shaky. And this is something that we've spoken about, we discussed in the last two episodes as well. There is a sense of insecurity when it comes to defending. And even today, we could see that, like, if Hong Kong were to take those chances, things would have been completely different. And in that respect, Anwar Ali, like someone like a Anwar Ali, who's a calm-headed fellow coming in, how much of that impact do you think can have on this pairing of Sandesh and Anwar if they are to continue as the first choice pairing for Stimac?
Yeah, I think no matter how much you work on your defense, you're never going to be able to keep the opposition away. They are going to create some chances or the other. What has impressed me in this campaign is that he's been consistent with his back four and back five, if you say Gurpreet, and they work together. They've actually worked together. If you see them holding the line, if you see them communicating with each other, covering for each other. Akash made that last ditch
Yeah.
tackle when both the centre backs were out of position. So a lot of things are happening with those back four, with that back four. But there's a good communication, there's a good understanding between them. So that's a very good start. And I tweeted when Anwar started for FC Goa. The best centre back in the country has made his debut in the ISL, and I think. Uh, and like I mentioned in the last episode, that he has a calming influence of people around him. If you look at Akash, you look at Sandesh, you look at Roshan, they are all very busy characters. They get attracted to the ball. They want to engage the attackers. Whereas a classic example was when that ball was bouncing and Matt Orr went for the balls. Anwar Ali just stepped away and he actually gauged the bounce of the ball, took it on his chest and played it off to Roshan Singh. That kind of composure is only going to help the back four. So he's got a consistent back four, which is a good start. It's up to the others now to fight for their place. But I expected a little bit more when in possession, where I felt we weren't as composed or brave in possession of the ball. There were a lot of occasions when we were you're going to face teams that are going to press you
Yep.
anyways. Now compare a UAE or a Japan, etc., pressing you. Hong Kong was maybe a toned down version of them, but they were in your face. They were like leaving a lot of spaces at the back. So there was a clear tactic where, okay, Hong Kong's going to press us, the space is behind, Ashik and Chetri are playing up front, and let's hit them as soon as possible. That's possible in certain situations where it worked, but there are other situations where you need to play a couple of passes, maybe get out of that pressure zone, switch play a little bit. And there were players around the ball. Maybe Anwar or Jackson were the two players who were perfectly comfortable in those kind of situations. But the other players, maybe Suresh, Sandesh, they need to be a little bit more composed on the ball, maybe trust their first touch a little bit, move the ball a little bit, just make 5 or 10 passes, 5 or 6 passes, which would get them out of pressure. That is what I was looking for. So I think this is a small point that Igor will keep working on with them, because the rest of it, maybe defending, counter attacking, exploiting spaces, set pieces, we've been doing really well. So if there's something that we need to improve, is that we just need to be a little bit more calm and patient in possession. When a team like this presses you so high, there are always spaces opened up. So other than the direct pass, we need to just move the ball a little bit and find those spaces. I think that's where I was looking forward to them doing that in this game, which didn't happen at all.
Well, this is something. This is a good point that Floyd makes. Sandeep, let me take that to you. You need to adjust according to the oppositions you're playing, right? Okay, this qualify. You knew India is the strongest team going into the competition, and hands down, India was the team to beat in this Group D. But going ahead, like even be your friendlies, you're hoping that you play against better oppositions, teams who are better than you, rank better than you, and of course, at the Asian Cup, you will be encountering teams who are better than you. How do you see this team play against a team like say a Japan or a Korea or a Qatar or a UAE for that matter?
Was it to me?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, see, they can only play one way against a team as good as Qatar or Korea and all. Because you're not going to get the ball. It's not like you don't want to keep the ball, you're just not going to get the ball. And like Floyd said, their actions will be much faster. The intensity of the game is probably what is going to tire you out more than anything else. So you will have to play the. And one good thing about, not a good thing, like we have seen in the past that against better oppositions, India has that ability to sort of bite down and sit back and defend and sort of do a lot of Hollywood clearances and this and that. It looks dirty. It looks a little fighty. It's like India is just competing at that level and sort of keeping their head above water. So those games, I would think they will continue to do that. Whether it is under Stimac or Constantine before, they were able to do
True.
that to a decent level. Of course, when Korea and all, if players like Son and all take a free kick and it goes in, there's nothing much you
Nothing you
can
can do.
do when things like that happen. Yeah. So there is always those chances, but again, we are not competing against Korea and Qatar. We should be thinking about competing and beating teams like Thailand and maybe a
Yep.
little bit above that the Central Asian teams.
Mhm.
Philippines and Vietnam are doing well. So Vietnam especially are doing really well. So we should try to compete with them. So that's the level that I'm looking at.
True.
Again, like I said earlier, everybody is talking about being there in the Asian Cup has to be a given. The idea has to be to progress. Being in the Asian Cup 4, 5, 6, 7 times is the most important thing first. That's the base. And every single time you go to a tournament, you get that first match out of the way. Like last time, if that Thailand win didn't happen, nothing else following would have happened. That good
True.
feeling, that
Yeah.
confidence that you had, and this extra spring in a step, and you almost push it. So in that 3 matches, I think anything can happen. So in that 5 times you are there, you qualify to the knockouts one single time. That's again a major boost for the next year. So in competition is a whole other thing, but the fundamental idea has to be that you are there competing at that level year in year out. So level of competition is only going to be higher and higher as the year goes on.
Absolutely. Like you need to play better oppositions, and that is something that we expect this team to do going
To be
ahead.
fair, Stimac has played stronger oppositions almost all the times he's got a chance to play friendlies.
Yeah.
Other than that Nepal match and stuff, almost always. So you have to
But
give
that was
credit.
unfortunate, right? Because of COVID and other things, teams didn't
But
want to travel
whatever
to
said
India.
and done, you're playing better oppositions and we are
Yeah.
losing. And he's getting shit for losing also. But he's playing against better oppositions in the first place.
All right, this is the time I think I should take one of the questions from one of our viewers who joining us. Orko, let me come to you and let me elaborate a bit on this question. Rahul Kumar wants to know what are the other options to make a CB combo along with Anwar. So basically, not just this bit. I just wanted to know a bit about Anwar Ali, like his story, dude. There was a time not that far away where his career was done and dusted. He was like, "Abhi ball marne milega ya mujhe pata nahi." But then things happened. He started playing. FC Goa took a punt on him, signed him. He played well, got called into the national team, and today he's here. And people are talking about should he be our first choice centre back, which so far, at least to me, is Sandesh Jingan in this team, and everyone else is a combination along with Sandesh. And but we are talking right now. We are having a conversation. Should Anwar Ali become that first choice centre back?
Yeah, I think absolutely deserved. I think been fantastic over the 3 games, and what a story also. Someone who was almost out of the game had to get a medical exemption, had to fight for it. Uh,
True.
And I mean, at one point, this it didn't seem likely. Good on FC Goa to also take a punt on him. And yeah, I think I pretty much agree with the assessment that he's pretty much the number one right now. He's composed. He's a complete centre back. Like he can do everything that you expect of a modern centre back. The other options, I think, Coach Floyd will be able to elaborate. I think the other options right now, I think, are Sana, who's played a lot this season and last season. uh, I was looking to Deepak Tangri's progression, which has kind of been stilted this season, but I mean, it's definitely a work in progress. So I mean, not sure, but yeah, I see. I think 4 or 5 centre backs there who are ready to fight for that spot.
Absolutely. Like just to bring Floyd into the conversation, I won't take much time because I've been told I need to be a stickler of time and not take much time of yours when the show happens. Floyd, you're someone who's worked with Anwar, right? Could you tell us a bit more about what makes this boy so special? Like, yes, we see it on the pitch, his calmness, his composure, and everything that he does with the ball. But beyond that, what is it makes Anwar Anwar Ali the man that we see?
Uh, he's he's two-footed. First of all, he can play equally well with his right and left. Uh, Secondly, he's comfortable playing out from the back. I think Igor Stimac, we discussed about centre backs, but he prefers centre backs who can play out from the back, who are comfortable with the ball. And there's even a chance that he could even be using Jackson in the long term as a centre back because of his ability on the ball. So that's where maybe Sana comes in because of how good he is on the ball. But with Anwar, I think there's very little uh, chinks in his armor, so to say. Possibly being the medical condition. I don't see anything else that would come in the way of him not having a good game. And the more he plays, the more the defense gets used to the way he plays. It'll settle down because that's what he does. He'll organize it in a very good way. Uh, we've not seen the best of him. His distribution out of the back is second to none. I've not seen too many of those diagonal balls that he put, but he can just split defense open with just one diagonal pass. He scores goals on set pieces and not just headers. He can score free kicks with either foot. Uh, you know, so there are so many aspects and so many, and if required, worst come worst, we play three at the back. He's equally comfortable driving with that ball into space. We mentioned a lot of times in the SAF where Sana had the opportunity to drive into space and play a pass. He was the only one who could do that. None of the other centre backs could use that space. Anwar is someone who can use that space on the right or on the left. So he has so many aspects or so many weapons in his game as a centre back, and forget about that. He can play any other position as well. You play him as a centre forward, he'll play equally well up there. I'm just going overboard with that, but he's done that with the national youth teams as well. In training as well. So there's the only thing with him now is just have a calm head on his shoulders, keep your head down, work as hard as possible, and just keep cherishing every moment that he gets with this national team. Because the more he plays, the better we will look at the back, and the better we look at the back, the more we progress in terms of that style of play, or in terms of us playing, not just kicking balls out and lumping balls out. So he brings that quality to our back four. So I hope he stays fit, touch wood, and the country is only going to prosper with him at centre back.
Well, a lot is expected of him, that's for sure. But like someone told me, like someone who on the panel told me that I need to give credit to Steamach as well because he's taken us over the line. And thank you, Steamach, for doing that because there was a period. Okay, I will not uh, stay away from this, but there was a period where I thought, okay, it would be really difficult. Seeing the way India played in the second round qualification, the joint qualification for the World Cup and the Asian Cup, it looked really difficult. And preview to the this third round qualification, something that we discussed about also, right? Where things looked really difficult. You were like, okay, Afghanistan hai isme to, and the last time we played Afghanistan, things were not that easy. So इस बार भी कुछ हो सकता है, and then you don't know what Hong Kong can do. And Cambodia is the only team you're like, okay, ठीक है, इनको तो हरा ही देंगे. But then you were skeptical. At least I was very skeptical. But Stimac has used his magic wand, done something. The team has played well. India's in the Asian Cup, and thank you for that. But looking for but holistically, Abresh Mina, let me ask you this: over the two rounds of qualification and a series of friendly matches, we won't look much into friendly matches because friendlies are all about preparing for these competitive fixtures, right? But these two round of qualification, what do you make of Stimac's reign as the head coach of the men's team?
From the joint qualifiers to just the Asian Cup qualifiers, like I mentioned, the major difference is he has understood the team better. He's kind of realized that I need to let them play according to their strengths and set the team like that. Also, I think the team has started to understand what Stimash wants better. Um, the guys have settled into the roles that they are supposed to play in the team. And yes, I think what's another thing that Stimach has done is, obviously he's got a good set of players. He's got a good squad, right? And he's made better changes. Like when he's come up with substitutions, they've been smart. They've been according to the game plan and not really disrupting it. Sometimes what happened in the past was he either went too defensive or too aggressive, taking off the balance of the team. What he's done better this time around is make on point substitutions, and we've seen that working throughout these three matches. So yeah, I think overall, I think he's also beginning to understand the team so much more and work accordingly. So yeah, I think I think he's also learned, and I think he's getting slightly better.
Well, Sandeep, will you say, is it right for me to say that all that thing about I was called in to play a certain type of football, is it time for me to call bullshit on that? Because at the end of the day, you need to play the way your team can play, and that is what is needed when it is the national team. Because it's not club football where you can get in players who could who could suit a certain philosophy and play your style of football.
So look, I've defended Stimac a lot. Okay,
Are you
over
still
the
doing
years.
that?
I'm still, but I don't believe a thing he says anymore because he is because of course the initial thing that we were told was you have to play a certain style of football. Is this why you were trying to do this? At that time, they were not really trying to do that also because you were again playing harder teams. So it just looked like you were just passing the ball to the other team or trying to pass the ball and missing it and all. And then recently he said Kolkata fans don't understand football or something, which is the worst thing you can say. Okay, so don't say that. And then before that he said, people told me 1 billion people to select from. I have only some 11 teams to choose from. The first ever comment that AIFF told was, we've signed him because he's got amazing knowledge and in-depth knowledge about Indian football. So I don't believe a thing anybody says anymore.
Floyd
But
so wants to laugh.
yeah, but to give credit where it's due, he's managed to do the job that he's supposed to do. So I think he should get a chance to finish what he's doing. And to be fair to him, the team has improved in the last 3 games. They were all better and better and better. And I think Apuya coming back, I feel like he can, like Floyd mentioned earlier, person who can take the ball under pressure. You will have another one who can do that and pass the ball. So hopefully, and Tapa's also there. I mean, so he has options now. So hopefully he sticks with good this team. There are some people who should not be playing in these teams. I'm not going to name names. There are comment sections. Some people have already pointed out, and some of them need not play also. So yeah, I hope he continues and sticks with this. And I'll give him credit, but I don't believe anything anybody says anymore.
All right.
You
Well,
know, just to add something, I think what's worked for the players also is there have actually not been too many breaks from when the season started to the Asian Cup qualifiers right now. The breaks have been very short and they've been playing pretty regularly. So I think that has helped them stay match fit and in the zone quite a lot more than what usually happens, because there's a huge amount of off season and
Oh
everybody just
yeah,
goes and does whatever they want to
we
do.
know some, we know a bit too much about the off season
But I
that
want to
happens.
ask
Like,
Floyd one thing,
go on.
because they started with this goal, so suddenly Hong Kong is up against it, and then when they looked like Hong Kong was getting better and better, we got the other goal.
Yeah.
So how much of an impact do you think those two goals, the timing of those two goals, had in terms for the results? You said rain also affected, but beyond that.
A big impact. I think it deflated Hong Kong completely. The second goal, because up and until then, I think Hong Kong, I think, were the favorites to score the second goal. They missed a couple of good chances. They were dominating possession. They were creating the better chances on goal. So I feel, there were certain moments like I know I'm using the rain again, but it kind of stopped their momentum a little bit there with that smooth passing movement. And then and then when we got that goal in injury time, it was done. But credit to them when they came on in the second half as well. They took the game to us. The coach had a few attacking substitutions. They were creating good chances, but then the spaces opened up at the back because they were so expansive. Hong Kong, you see the at times there are hardly two or three players at the back defending. Their wing backs are so high. Their front three are so close to each other. So the timings of the goals were, I mean, killed Hong Kong, especially the second one. I don't think the first one bothered them too much. And the other aspect is, the coach himself said before the game, really, they weren't really at it today. They weren't really going to be at it today. That's what he said, because there was nothing riding on it. It was they had already qualified, and if there was qualification at stake, it would have been a different kind of approach to the game. He said that before the game, so you kind of get that sense. If the coach is speaking like that, maybe the dressing room is also kind of very relaxed and
Right.
just taking this game as a formality. And I'm not saying that they weren't that sharp today, but maybe that could be a reason where they said, okay, we've qualified, let's just have a good game and get done with it. That's
Well, that about Hong Kong, guys. Let's just get back to our thought on Steamers. Arko, I just wanted to ask you this. Even during Constantine's reign, it was this period, right? It was this third round qualification matches. After this is where you saw positive results under Constantine as well. Before this, the second round qualification, everyone knows what happened. गुआम में जाके हार गए थे, ईरान ने तो हरा ही दिया था होम और अवे, ओमान से हमारे, तुर्कमेनिस्तान से हमारे, सब कुछ हुआ था. But it was this round and from matches from here on is where you had those that draw against Oman away, then that draw against China away, and then of course the Asian Cup and the performance there. Everything happened from here on. So, do you see a similar pattern now with Stimac as well? Now that you kicked off by qualifying for the Asian Cup in such an emphatic manner, you would want this team to build on this, right?
Yeah, I think for sure. It's very important to go into the Asian Cup with the right frame of mind. And I think under Constant, what happened in the last 2 years, they didn't really have any slip ups against the Minnows. Yeah, I mean, the level of friendlies was obviously
Yeah,
something debatable, but they had a winning momentum. And like winning is a habit, so is losing, right? Uh, for example, Stimac's low point came after the draw against Sri Lanka, right? And people were like, "Okay, nothing's going right," and eventually it was a good end to the SAF campaign. But that's the thing. Like, I mean, momentum does wonders to a team, right? Thailand, for example, played really badly against us, but in the next two matches they were very good. So
true.
I mean, it's just about what sort of frame of mind are we in, and I think the team's kind of settling down right now. If he finds this best 18, let's say, then I think anything can happen. So it depends on the group of obviously group of the Asian Cup, but I'm hoping for a good draw in that one.
Well, there's a lot riding on that, and that depends eventually on your ranking as on the particular date that AFC decides to cut off. But before we get into that, Floyd, let me ask you this. Okay, now you have qualified for the Asian Cup. Okay, that was the target. on paper it was set as a target for the coach who's coming in. You need to qualify for the Asian Cup. That has been achieved. What next? How do you prepare for a competition as big as Asian Cup, where you know teams are definitely better than you, but if you are good and if it's on your day, you could have a decent enough chance of pulling off a surprise or other. Because these big competitions, we have always seen teams out of nowhere pulling out a surprise and probably making the knockouts, and just that becomes the story of the competition then, right?
Uh, One would be, I think, timing the camp before the Asia Cup. I think uh, knowing how they prepare, knowing Luca, the fitness coach, they require a certain time, at least over a month, with the players to get them up to speed to what they feel is required for a competition. I think that has helped here. You look at, like Sandeep mentioned about the game, after a certain point, Hong Kong were done, but we were still going,
Right.
and that's credit where it's due, because these guys work really hard uh, uh, at the back, double sessions certain days, everything's really planned, and a lot of focus is put on the fitness aspect of the team. So I think that uh, if everything is coordinated well, they should have a good camp leading into the Asia Cup. And secondly, it's, I think, the choice of friendlies that they play. uh, like Orko mentioned, there's no point in playing teams that are going to sit back against you and try to break them down, be it maybe to increase the ranking or whatever. But we need to find those teams, maybe a little better than Hong Kong for starters, that are going to come up against you. Even someone like Bahrain that we played, I think we played against Bahrain, right? Yeah, something like that. But approach that game like we approached the Hong Kong game, that kind of approach. Because how we've approached the games in the Asia Cup, uh, it's not like high press, in your face kind of attitude, but it's not been defending deep and sitting on top of our box. So we need to find those kind of friendlies where we can play this kind of football, and try to make small improvements in maybe in possession, decision making in the final third. And then we have that odd game where, okay, we're going to play the big guns, say a Japan or a Qatar, where we are going to say, okay,
True.
we can't do it, let's just sit back. So that, finding that blend of friendlies is going to be important, because see, preparing for SAF is different, preparing for the Asia Cup is totally different. So
Absolutely.
uh, we need that coordination between the AFF, Igor, and hopefully getting the friendlies that we want in time, and that camp before the Asia Cup. Yeah.
Well, and since it's India, also the domestic leagues, because there have been instances in the past when players were not released. That is something that cannot happen this time around, or any time for that matter. Well, guys, that's how this conversation is slowly coming to an end. Any final words? Because it's been a very eventful few days where you saw the national men's team in action. Yes, we won and we are in the Asian Cup, but it's just the beginning, like we have been speaking about since the very morning when we realized, okay, India has made it to the Asian Cup, but ये बस शुरुआत है. Now you need to build on this. You need to go ahead and prove, okay, this is not just about qualifying, but again about improving as a footballing nation, improving the standard of football that you play. And that can only happen when you play better oppositions and you play regularly. Because fitness is one thing, match fitness is another thing. Like Floyd mentioned, probably what really helped India during these 3 matches is the 6 week camp that they had, right from the time in Bellary to when they moved to Calcutta and everything that happened. That has played a very important role in seeing the way India played that we did. Guys, thanks a lot for joining in. That brings us to the end of this episode. Sandeep, I know you're wandering around. It's time for you to hit the bed. I won't keep you waiting for too long. Thanks a lot for being with us. Thank you, Abreshmina, Orko, and Floyd. It was pleasure having you over the past 3 episodes. I don't know how you will be placed the coming season, but if you do have time, please do join us. It's always pleasure having you.
Yeah, always that talk about Indian football. But I just like to put in credit where it's due. Mahesh Gauli,
Oh yeah.
big difference. Yeah, I've worked with him with the Arrows, and I know how much he will have influenced that defensive line. So I hope that he continues with the national team for a long time.
Yes, Orko, the final word.
I just wanted to confirm from Floyd, was Anwar's last international goal under you? Am I right?
For against
Yes.
Argentina. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. Was it?
yes.
Yes. It's a great
All
night.
right.
Yes, yeah.
It's a great night. But Floyd,
Great
Floyd is
night.
just holding back his emotions, is holding back all the
Yeah.
The,
happiness.
the
I don't
current
know what he's.
the current senior national team coach Lionel Scaloni and Pablo Aimar on the opposite bench. So imagine
Okay.
that.
That was quite interesting. Great, guys. It was great having you. And to you guys who joined us on live today, it was always a pleasure having you. I'm pretty sure Sandeep has a few more interviews lined up. Yes, Sandeep, which will come your
Yes, yes.
way in the
We
coming
have to see.
days.
We have to see now because
Oh,
one is
yes.
in the pipeline. The other
Oh,
two
yeah.
I'm working on. So, yeah,
Cool.
let's see. We'll get some.
Yes, we'll keep you updated. Until then, you can join us on our social media handles, on
Oh,
Injury Time social media handle for
don't forget,
everything. Sandeep needs to say
it's
something.
turning 15th today.
Uh-huh.
Orko, you have a live with Shaji Prabhakaran that you've been
Oh,
agreed.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
Oh yeah, that's been agreed
uh,
Yeah.
upon. We need to
so
confirm. We
we'll
need to
deliver
confirm
that
that
as
date.
well.
Yes, that's
Yes.
also coming. Right. So there's quite a bit happening, even if it's off season in Indian football. There's quite a bit happening on Injury Time. So stay tuned. Follow us on all our social media handles and join us for all the conversations. Until we bring you the next episode of Injury Time. Have a great night and